This is the start of the podcast.
This is the start right now. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the ETTO Comic Cast for December of 2021. It's our 12th one. We've
did
done
it.
a whole year.
We nailed it.
Except for one.
Well, we did it. No one heard it.
Yeah, that's it.
We did. We
did it.
We
Yeah.
recorded 12.
You're the slackers.
You only got 11. You can find the other one somewhere, I promise. Vote Loki.
And they would have
but
to.
Ben can't.
They read it all as well. So it's
Yeah.
like we all
True.
read
Yeah.
12 comics.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just one of them didn't get out.
Yeah.
It's the one that got away.
Yeah.
Like Loki would. It's very on brand.
Hey.
Yeah.
No.
Very good.
Anyway, we're carrying on from last month. We are recording this in December. We have also didn't read them all together.
No.
We read them separately.
Yes.
Which is kind of fun because now we're four.
Only two more left.
4 episodes into the TV show.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of cool to go back into this series and look at what they're taking from it, what they're kind of taking out,
Yep.
what aspects have been improved, which I'm realizing is quite a bit. But overall, it's definitely like fun to do one of these where we're kind of splitting it over a couple months.
Yep.
Coming back in the middle. Before we jump into the issues, because we don't have any facts to go through, we did that last
did
month.
that.
If you want to check last month's one, it's up on the channel. Do you guys have any final comments before we jump in?
It's
On this series?
On this series.
Well,
Or
this
what
run.
we've read?
like this bit.
This bulk.
Cool.
This one is it's an interesting one because there was a phrase that I was thinking about in terms of what I feel like this is. It's just like it feels like it overextends itself. It almost feels like not a 5-issue run, but it could have been as short as it was. Like in terms of what we read, that could have lived as its own. Because as we go into this, there are some changes in behind the scenes in artists and stuff that I think lose a lot of what those 6 issues were.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of the tone slips a little bit here and there. So yeah, it's disappointing. It's still fun, but I think a lot of the fun is actually gone in this.
Yes.
But it's leading to something bigger that I'm sure needed to be a little less fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a weird, like the weird mid-season part of like a series or something.
That
or
is-
a TV
Yeah.
series.
Well, it feels like it wasn't supposed to be this.
Yeah.
It's like, oh shit, we're still going. Time for a story. It's like, oh, okay, I guess we're doing this.
That's the best way to describe it. It feels like it's filling in a gap between Clint and Kate in New York and then Kate in
She's
LA.
going to move out.
But it's like there's just like a bit too much in between.
Yeah.
And it kind of shows, we'll get into it, but a few of the issues are basically the same time.
It is
just
weird.
repeated multiple
odd.
different times.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's jump
into that.
jump into it. We're doing issue number 7 to start off with, which also has different artists, Steve Lieber and Jesse Ham. But we don't have a plot, do we, Will?
No, I've lost it. So
Will's fully lost it
Someone's
this
got to
time.
find it. Someone got it?
Will?
I don't have it.
I got it. I found it. I just found it. Sorry.
Jesus Christ, that could have been a very long
It took me a sec,
podcast.
but I found it.
Oh, thank God, you
good,
found it.
good.
Yeah.
I like this because most people are probably going to listen to an audio version of it. But the people that watched it in visual, it was just us sitting for a moment.
Yeah.
The audio version will be great because it'll be like, oh, it's all silent. It's like they're doing something. But for the visual version, it's like,
No.
what just happened?
We're just looking at each other like,
Yeah.
Did someone do
Someone
it?
actually lost the plot.
I almost, probably not, but I almost wonder if Steve Lieber, the artist of this one, is at all related to Stan Lee, because Lieber is his last name, isn't it?
Yeah.
His actual last name.
Good question. Yeah.
His name is Stanley Lieber, and he changed it to Stan Lee.
Yeah.
You're going to check out.
It's like Andrew Garfield is actually Andrew Garfinkel.
Oh.
Yeah. And then they named a planet or a star. They named a planet after him, or a species of spider. And they named it Garfield. And he's like, "That's cool, but that's not actually my name.
Sure.
So you actually haven't named it after me. You named it after a fake name.
Fair.
Does not look like he is related to Stanley.
It would be up top.
Yeah.
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 That would have been kind of cool, though.
Yeah, it would have been. This is a fun fact from Josh.
There you go. Fun almost fact.
Fun
Definitely
thoughts.
not real.
Yeah.
Cool. So issue 7, this one is the one that I remember most purely because of a single line. And it was my
back again.
profile picture on Facebook for
Yeah.
the longest time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But issue 7, it's the Storm of the Century. It's Cyclone Sandy.
Hurricane
Hurricane
Sandy. It's
Sandy?
right there, Josh.
That's right. Sorry. No,
I was just looking at it.
you were. Hurricane Sandy.
Yeah.
So there's like everything's flooding and going nuts. Clint helps one of his neighbors' grills. He goes and basically helps save his mother's belongings in the basement of his dad's house. Also saves his dad. Also saves Grills and his dad's relationship in the end. By the end of it. And that's pretty much most of it.
Yeah.
There's also a short section of Kate going to an engagement party. And she ends up also saving a bunch of people because they get trapped in there because of the storm too. And there's some very badass shots of her walking into the flooded, destroyed city in a wrecked, very fancy dress with a bow and arrow.
Ready or not.
Totally.
Like Samara
Totally,
Gill.
yeah, super badass. Almost looks like a zombie apocalypse kind of thing, but
Yeah.
very cool.
Well,
that's pretty much it.
I imagine just on that, it's probably kind of what New York looked like after Hurricane Sandy. I don't know for a fact, but I would imagine after like such a storm, you kind of go outside and it's a lot of those vibes.
Yeah.
Totally.
There's a lot of this that was like, I don't think I've ever seen this in a comic.
Yeah.
Or let alone, I don't think like the shot of it arriving where Clint sees it.
Yeah.
I feel like I've never seen that ever. Like,
Yeah.
it's obviously not what the news shows.
Yeah.
Because they're never at the scene as it happens.
Yeah.
You maybe get your shaky, but just this overhead shot.
It's
of Clint,
terrifying.
It's insane.
This page is terrifying.
Yeah.
I had it in my notes. It's like a horror page, the
Yeah.
way Clint's face looks
eyes,
at the... It's just like seeing that like bearing down on you and being like, shit, I gotta get inside.
I guess the most like accurate version of that I feel like I have seen is kind of these like, I don't know where it is, but tsunamis when people are filming
Lots
a
in
tsunami
Japan.
coming into like these sort of Asian countries and stuff like Southeast Asian countries where you see it just swelling up and then it just gets worse and worse and more intense and starts breaking buildings down and stuff. That's kind of the most like accurate version of that I can think of in comparison to this.
Yeah.
Or that brilliant sequence in Shadow of the Tomb Raider.
Of course.
Where she swims through that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Of course.
Everyone remembers that game.
Everyone remembers it.
Yeah, I definitely played it.
Yeah.
Just at the start, there's also there's a good twist on the "this looks bad" thing they have going. He's still like, this storm is starting to look really bad. Yeah,
It's in there.
which
nice.
I enjoyed. And then they do have a "this looks bad" later on, I believe, as well.
Yep.
And then so the storm hits. Clint loses his car and says, "Oh car,
Oh, car.
oh car."
The best.
Yeah.
Every time.
Yeah. And then delivers another spectacular line, which is, Josh, would you like to say it?
I'm great at boats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My favorite. It's
I-
just the face. The freaking face makes it.
I've
Yeah.
never found it funny until now, having it have context. Not this comics context, but the fact that it is linked to the earlier one.
Yeah.
Sure.
I've never found this funny, but
Yeah.
I find it funny because it's him remembering
totally.
he drove a boat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's never driven a boat. He drove it once, and he's like, I'm great at boats.
Yeah,
I can't
totally.
do that.
And it's after a really like wholesome moment between Gil and his dad, and then he's just like, "I'm great at boats."
Yeah.
Yeah. It's always been just the stupidity of the line itself is just like it's such a dumb line to write or say or read.
All right, let's rank
And just his face.
all cars. I'm great at boats and shoe.
Shoe. I do love shoe.
Shoe's very good.
Shoe's a very good one. I would personally go shoe, boat, car. Because all car
All car is funny.
is like, it's a throwback to the shoe one,
Yeah.
basically. And he does say or something a whole bunch, but yeah.
I thought
Shoe's very good.
I agree with that ranking. I think shoe has to be top just because it's one word
And
but
it's amazing.
so effective.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shoe.
And then we have a great kind of page of interaction between Kate and Clint over Brooklyn versus New Jersey, and whether Clint knows who Jay-Z is, which is really dating this comic.
Yeah.
Yep. You don't want to know.
I felt like this section was the most standout for how different this art is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the stuff, almost anything with Kate in this issue
Yep.
stands out so much more than
Totally.
I
like
think
Clint's side seems
It's still like, I mean,
similar-ish.
I'm great at boats. It looks like Aya.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
that 100%.
totally. But anything with Kate is so I don't know. It's so different.
Yeah,
It's so
I think that's
starkly different.
because the two artists did the two separate parts of the comic. So I think this is Jesse Ham. I'm just assuming based on the order they credited them.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's definitely it's a wild art style. I do love. There's a little like I don't even know how to describe it. It's like
a Chiba kind of.
Yeah. Kate in the top corner.
Yeah.
And then the other thing which I noticed when I was reading it on the invitation in the top left corner of this page, it's just like the names are ridiculously long for the invitation.
Yeah.
And then at the bottom it's just got like bloody blah blah.
They just gave up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
The little Kate there, the little kind of Chiba cute Kate thing, kind of reminds me of some of the kids' animated Spider-Man runs where he's
Totally.
got kind of almost like the little conscience sort of mini Spider-Man that
The devil
jumps
and
in
angel
says
Spideys.
stuff. Yeah. Kind of reminds me of that.
Yeah,
that kind
totally.
of idea. It's very cute.
Um,
Too funny.
But yeah, then Kate goes to the hotel and it starts flooding. She goes underwater, which I think Jade at this point, I was reading through some viewer comments and Jade was like, just a reminder, anyone who jumps into water like this, it's full of poo.
Yeah.
It's,
Yes.
So yeah,
Interesting.
poor Kate.
I love that she even mentions
Yeah.
it, that it's like, this isn't good. In films, it seems fine. But
Yeah, you can't open your eyes because it stings.
And she also almost says, like, okay, this looks bad, but she's like, okay, this sucks.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
It's
Yeah,
such
totally.
a Kate delivery of basically the same idea,
Yeah.
the same line.
And speaking of Kate, her number plate is KA73. It's very nice.
That would get stolen if you're living
Apparently.
in some
Yeah.
places.
Yeah, custom number plates.
They go away.
They do go away.
I want her to have that car.
Yeah.
It shows up so much in these comics. I want it to turn up in the series.
It'd be cool.
I see it turning up in like a Kate only series,
Yeah.
an
Yeah.
LA Kate series.
Yeah.
Which the more I think about it, I think
We're on our
they're
way.
gonna get there.
Yeah.
And then she goes into a store to try and get medicine. Gets knocked out, and then says, "Why does everything smell like beans?" Which I enjoyed that.
Some good fun.
And then she also mentions the bad guys ganked her gear. It's just interesting choice of word.
Yeah.
As a Dota player, I was like, okay. Some visuals running through my head there that are weird, but then I do love that the rest of the community there have stopped the bad guys and
Yeah, it's
stopped
a
them
good
from
bit.
getting away.
Good bit of like Raimi Spider-Man.
Yeah,
The New
totally.
Yorkers helping out.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then just to end out the comic, it's just a lovely thank you, Hawkeye.
Yeah.
After you, Hawkeye.
After kind of a bit of a fight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, you can take the couch. And she's like, no,
Yeah.
I will take the bed. You'll take the couch. I'm the guest.
That's what we're getting 10 minutes into this week's episode.
Yeah.
They're not fighting for long.
Yeah, totally. Well, I feel like, not to go too much on a diversion, but a lot of these like issues are the two of them fighting and it just keeps happening, and it's almost like, I get you're trying to show that there's a dysfunctional relationship and set up Kate leaving, but at the same time it's very like, all right, we get it.
Yeah,
we get it.
Move on. Yeah.
But definitely I hope the show is very much like that, where it's like 20 minutes, we're done.
We're done. We'll get him. It'll be him jumping out of the building in his suit. That's the opening of the episode. And then he's like, I'm sore. I need Kate.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all it's going to
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
That's good. Very good.
Yeah, issue 8, which is a fun laid out issue. It gets a bit confusing, but it's
It does.
There's a few of these that do.
Yeah,
There's a few of these that
totally.
I've read and I'm like,
Where are we?
I don't know how to write this plot.
Yeah.
Almost from this issue onwards, it's almost one plot as well. Like,
Yeah.
It's just
It's
all one
the
idea.
same story within like 6 issues, which is
crazy.
Yeah.
It's a feat to try. I don't know how well it works, but
Yeah.
it's certainly interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, just to start off with this, Annie Wu did all the like full page comic illustrations for this, which are very wonderful. I like that they tied them into this book as well.
Yeah.
When Penny at the end is like, "You read my comic books," and then
them out of
they're
order.
all like a code and all that stuff.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
So we've got, I'm just going to run through them real quick. We've got Doomed Love,
Yes.
with Kate and all his people. Bit weird with Clint and all his people. Bit weird that Kate's on here.
Totally. Yeah.
Don't know how I feel about that.
It is odd.
And then we have Mystery Girl.
Yep.
As Penny drives away in the car.
Yep.
Then we have A Girl Like You, which is Penny in her job in at adult place.
Yes.
Not only did I want to phrase that well,
Yeah.
but my brain just like decided to stop.
Yeah,
like
what was
working.
speaking?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I was
Good.
like, okay, this is I
is
gotta
what I'm
work out
saying.
something right now. And we got Love Crimes,
Mm-hmm.
and Love Fugitive. It's a good if you look at them in succession like we are now. It's a good little story.
Totally,
I
yeah, it's
feel
awesome.
like it's being told.
Yeah.
So shout out to Annie Wu for doing all them.
Yes.
And then the rest of the issue is all David Ayer stuff.
I'd love to know the in-universe thing that happened for those to exist.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
how
totally.
did she get them made?
Yeah,
How did
because
you
they're
do
like
that?
they're literally
full comics.
full comics in her story.
Yeah.
and her and Clint's story. It's very interesting. But yeah, I do like this first page where she's killed a bro. A couple things. I really like how her dress is illustrated. It's just like a flat texture, and then her dress moves, but the texture never
It's
moves.
just the same,
Yeah.
yeah.
Happens a lot in video games too.
Yeah,
Whenever
totally.
you get like a space texture on
Yeah.
like a weapon or a
Yeah.
something, it stays.
It's
the same.
Thor in Fortnite.
It's
Yes.
a
Yeah.
lot of things in Fortnite.
It's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it happens a lot in, I feel, with like Infinity, like the character in Marvel Comics Infinity and those
Yeah,
sort of characters. I feel
totally.
like they have that
Yeah,
sort
the
of
Space Spider-Man one.
idea. Yeah.
But definitely interesting to use it for a dress.
Yeah, it's a cool idea.
Pretty cool.
Also, very nice looking page.
Yeah,
Just
it is.
very classic
This is
Ayer
definitely, yeah,
page.
it's like, oh, good, he's back.
Yeah.
When you open this comic, it's like, oh, thank God,
yeah.
we're back in.
Should I quickly run through plot?
Oh yes, of course. I forgot.
Josh has it.
I
Yeah,
forgot
plot.
the plot.
Found
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Yeah.
And you forgot it.
We got it now.
So basically, Redhead Girl's back, which is Penny.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep, didn't know that. We all read this today,
You've
and
got the
I
plot.
feel like I focus on
Yeah.
it the least.
Yeah.
And I'm meant to know the plot.
You've got the plot.
She talks Clint into helping her steal a safe from the Bros, from the tracksuit mafia. Correct me if I'm wrong in any of this. Who knows?
I think this is about right.
When they're performing this heist, the cops turn up, and she gets away, but Clint gets arrested. Almost gets kicked out of the Avengers because of his illegal activity. And when she bails him out of jail, and they go back to her apartment, I think, and she gets angry at him for reading previously mentioned
Yep.
comics.
Yep.
After, at the start of the issue, her telling him not to.
Yeah.
And it turns out that was because they were in the order of the combination of the safe. So now that is totally lost. They
Yeah.
can't open the safe anymore.
Would just have been smart to write it.
Yeah,
write
it's
it
true.
down
Just
on a
write
piece
it
of
in a
paper.
book.
Yeah.
Yep,
Like
totally.
in one of the comics.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
a tiny little page in a comic.
Yep. And and then there's a random like 2 pages or 3 pages at the end, which is all the major mobsters
Yep.
in New York, basically voting and trying to work out whether they will or need to kill Clint or not.
Let's go to this
Yeah.
firstly, because one Grandpa Bro is back, Super Bro.
Yep.
Love him.
Yeah.
Love him
Those
to bits.
glasses, man.
good.
So
The
good.
the shade, like literal shade.
Yeah.
I'm a bit disappointed by how they've set up the series that he doesn't exist. But at the same time,
Yeah.
I love him in here. And then the other thing that I just want to mention that old mate Kingpin,
He's certainly prevalent in these run.
Prevalent has the table is basically
him.
his legs.
Yeah.
He's part of him, and I think it's a brilliant use of negative space, but it's also just hilarious
Yeah.
to look at.
Yeah.
It is.
Um,
Also, who is the guy that looks like Wolverine-ish?
Hellfire?
I thought
related?
it was like maybe Mr. Hyde.
Yeah, okay.
Oh,
Okay.
it could be Sebastian Shaw.
Yeah.
It's hard to know.
I just saw a cravatty thing and I'm like, that's
Yeah.
very Hellfire.
Yeah,
but-
true. It could be a Sebastian Shaw kind of thing. Mr. Negative shows up as well, which is
Does
quite
that-
cool.
That's why I love this the most.
Yeah.
Because it's everything's so black and white. It's like the shadows are pure black.
Yeah.
And so when it cuts to Mr. Negative, it's just a great panel.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Very cool.
But yeah, I forgot Kingpin had like any involvement in this comics, and now I'm reading it, and obviously with the way the show is going, I'm like,
Yeah.
that makes some sense.
A line similar to "He's annoyed us all. Let's fuck him" is
Yeah.
probably something will happen.
Yeah,
Yep.
totally.
Yep.
But yeah, I just back at the start, I love the way they've illustrated his 3
Yep.
Women.
women.
Interests.
His 3 women. That sounds.
Yeah.
It's odd.
It's hard to describe it anyway. 'Cause
Yeah.
this whole thing is a bit weird. I don't know how I feel about them making a big thing of this dynamic.
It's also coming out of the back of the last issue because it's like what you say. The show is distilled in a good, and we've got a different Clint, which is a lot of a nicer man. And in this comic, it goes just hard flips between him being a shit person and being a purely good person. Because in the previous one, he's like, I'm going to save this family. I'm not going to think twice. And then all through this, they're like, you're a bad person. You think about yourself only. And it's like, well, no.
Yeah.
He keeps being nice. Yeah, it's odd. It's odd, and I'm glad that he has a wife.
Yeah, no, totally. Just as I was reading this, I was like, I like how they set up the dynamic given his comic history, but I am glad that it is not something we have to trade in the MCU because it's just a lot. And
it's also a Disney film. They're not going to have a womanizer in it. A superhero can't be a womanizer.
Totally. But yeah, no, I love the way they're kind of illustrated as 50s pinup.
I love how Widow and Jessica look in these.
Totally.
It's very cool. It's so cool.
Yeah. It's amazing. And I just want to say, Hold On a Sex makes a return.
Back.
Another little callback. And then basically as Clint is trying to help, there's so many people in this issue. It's hard to remember names. Is trying to help Penny. He puts on a beanie which has a purple H on it. And I'm just like, what's the point? Like, are you trying to be inconspicuous? Because if then don't put a big purple H on your head.
Don't wear anything Hawkeye or go in full costume.
Yeah, exactly.
One of the two.
Doesn't make a lot of sense. It's cool little nod to his classic costume though. But yeah, that's kind of it for this.
I'd wear it.
Yeah, totally. It would be a cool beanie. But to me, the highlight of this issue is these like full page illustrations. I think they're what really stands out for me. I don't know about you guys.
And just the cool artistic like ways they introduce the women.
Totally.
They're very
totally
cool.
totally.
Yeah, no, it's sick.
Cool. Moving on to issue 9. Josh,
I got it. I got the plot.
Where is it?
I found it. So the previously mentioned women in Clint's life want to help him out because they know that it's been some dodgy. Well, he's been involved in some dodgy stuff with Penny. So they're trying to find out who Penny is, what she wants, and they each approach it in sort of different ways, even though they're kind of doing it together. So Black Widow goes after Penelope something, says her name every single time she says anything. Instead of saying you, she just says her name every time. It's an interesting thing. And then his ex-wife goes to basically get a divorce to get him to actually sign the divorce papers.
Who is his ex-wife, Josh?
I don't know.
Is it?
It's Mockingbird.
Okay, cool. Sweet. And I didn't know until like the final issue of this run or something who the last one was. It was Spider-Woman. But Jessica Drew pops in and it says for her name it says friend girl. But it's very clear like I didn't know, and obviously it's probably in other comics but not in this run. They had a fling or were dating or something. It's very clear because she's extremely upset that he has been sleeping around. Extremely upset. And that's where we get a very strong "you are a bad person" vibe, and that just sends him into spiraling depression for the rest of what we read.
Like 4 issues.
He's a very sad man.
Very, very much. Damn, I wish I read exactly how I wrote that, because I said she grills him for sleeping around. And then speaking of grills, our good friend, neighbor, Grills gets shot by a mystery man. Which is very, very sad. And in between, Kate tries to cheer Clint up for that. But
poor Grills.
I can't believe they did Grills.
Bad.
I know.
The Grills like this.
I can't believe they did Grills as they are in the show. He's so different.
He's different.
It's fine, but it's also like, I'm not gonna. If this happens to that man, I'm just not gonna have the same thing. Totally. He's just like an old, frail dude. That I'm just like, I feel he shouldn't have been shot.
He's just a guy.
Whereas he's a firefighter. Like, they go through a lot of stuff. It's like he could die. And his day-to-day job.
And also, we have virtually no connection to Grills in the show. Like, he came up I missed that it was even Grills.
Yeah.
Will had to tell me. It's like, oh yeah, the guy in the laughing
He
thing,
said call him
that was
Grills.
Grills. He said Grills.
Yeah.
I totally missed that.
Yeah.
So no one's gonna know or care if they do end up
Yeah.
killing him off at any point,
Yeah.
which is unfortunate. But yeah, this hits hard.
Sucks.
This sucks so bad. It's also like wonderfully illustrated in classic. Like this is a David Ayer
Oh.
page right here, especially with like the poofed poofed and the little silencer. I love it.
Yeah.
And yeah, no, it's definitely weird because I thought they had Grills as a character in the TV show as an allusion to this character, but
Yeah,
nothing
yeah.
more than
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
But then, as I realized in the next issue, this character is Kazi, and I didn't put that together that that's also a character in the show.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm like, maybe they will do that.
Kit Harington.
Yeah.
The guy
Yeah,
that looks
right.
like
Okay.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah, no, it's a very interesting change
Oh.
they've made there, but it's like,
It could still happen.
It could still happen, but
Yeah.
it definitely won't have the impact because
No.
they're setting up Grills as this like really cool character.
Yeah.
Especially they have a whole
That's
issue.
true.
Is that guy actually Kit Harington?
No, he
No.
just looks like
Because I'm
Kit
like,
Harington.
when you said it the first time, I'm like, I see it, but it's not, right?
Yeah.
I don't know much about Kit Harington, but I'm like, he kind
He
of looks
just
like
has
it, but he's
black
not.
curly hair and very like small
Totally.
eyes.
Yeah,
It just
yeah.
looks like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. I just needed to double check. I thought it would be the funniest place to do it on the podcast
Yeah.
because I'm the most clueless person
Yeah.
Just people.
in this room. about
Especially
this stuff.
hilarious given that Kit Harington
in.
has been in a Marvel thing
He's
very
Black Knight.
recently.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course he is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good, it just got worse.
Yeah.
I will say, in terms of all the romance, like this is good. We're going to talk about more because it's
Yeah.
kind of the plot of the rest of this. The one that it came back is that I think Jessica Drew sees Clint with Kate, and that's part of her thing of like you're sleeping around. I'm like, I wish we'd drop that. I wish we'd stop making it because she's in his romantic tree as well. And
Yeah.
that thing. It's just like it's weird that they've done it more than once in this comic.
Yeah.
That it's like there's implied because it's always outer. It's
Yeah.
like they don't have it.
Yeah.
They're never doing that
yeah.
chemistry. It's just like it's written by other people.
Yeah.
It's like, go away.
I think the thing with it though, like from this, because Hawkeye is literally just talking to Grills just before this.
Yep.
And it's after the Jessica,
Yep.
goes off at him, grills him.
Yes.
As I wrote. And yeah, we get kind of the tail end of a conversation between Clint and Grills. And he's like, well, if everything you just told me about this girl is true, you should go and tell her this stuff or write a letter or something, like get that information to her, which immediately made me think Jessica, like he feels bad about that. Because yeah, she just grilled him for it or whatever. But then obviously later it comes back, he sort of is pretty short with Kate.
Yeah.
And then he sort of thinks to himself, I have to tell her.
Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, it's kind of an interesting thing there because there is like, it jumps in and out of them clearly being like interested in each other.
Yeah.
And there is some love tension there. I'm not going to say sexual tension because I feel like there's not sexual tension, but there's something there.
I
Like there's
definitely never pick it up, but yeah, maybe.
yeah, I don't know, with like the phone call in like the first or second issue or whatever, where they're sort of like I don't want to sleep with you kind of thing. It's like
You were correct in that there's something there.
Yeah.
I just don't think there should be anything there.
yeah.
And again, show has
They seem
adapted.
to be alluding to
Show
it.
has adapted it in a good way. I
Yes.
think. Like, it's like it's not.
It's not that.
He's married.
Yeah, he doesn't care.
yeah.
Yeah.
But totally, I was. I can't believe they killed Gil like this, and I just don't think it would at all have the impact if they did it in the show because we have that whole issue with Gil and his dad and stuff.
And just to clarify as well, we find out that Grill's name is Gil.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
I
With
go
the
back
dad.
and forth with that a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It's one of the unfortunate things with the Disney Plus shows, and I think this is the first show where it needed it, is it could have been 10 eps. Like there could have been room to have the nothing issues of these comics because they've, as with all the Marvel things, like we were watching Homecoming last night, and they just focus on one single idea in all the Marvel content, whereas, comics come in and out of an arc or an ongoing baddie. And I was hoping these shows would have a similar thing, and it's like they have time to do nothing for an episode, but it's still fun. Like Ep3 kind of has that vibe of just like, they have a car chase because they need to fill time.
Yeah.
So it would be lovely if this series could have had a larger, maybe 8 eps, to have an episode where we go to Grill's dad's house and
Yeah.
all the rest of
Yeah.
that.
And a dog episode.
And a dog episode.
I was going to say, that would be great. I'm
Yeah.
almost like half expecting maybe a dog episode in potential season 2,
Yeah.
something like that. Like get more of
I think
dog in there.
I think we will get like the hearing bit. I think we'll get
a segment.
like 10-minute dog segment
Yeah.
potentially.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess we'll come back to this in like 2 weeks.
Yeah. We'll be wrong.
Yeah. But everything we have said will be wrong.
Yeah.
But yeah, just going back to the start of this issue. Oh no. Oh no.
No, it's clicked off it.
Clicked out.
It's all right.
Use the arrows, Ben.
I tried.
No, these
Oh,
arrows.
those arrows. Yeah. 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 No. So obviously, this is the one about all his girls. And
His girls and girls.
Yeah. The widow section is nice because it reads as kind of like a crime noir thriller little thing.
And she legitimately wants to help him.
Yeah, totally.
Whereas the other ones kind of have
It's
like
a little bit of beef against him, being
totally.
ex-wives and ex-girlfriends.
Yeah.
But I do like when Mockingbird shows up at Clint's apartment and just absolutely owns the bros.
Yeah. She's like, you should do something about those guys. And he's
Yeah.
like, I probably shouldn't because the police are on my back about scaring all these people. And she's like, fine, I'll be back in a sec.
Yeah,
And I
totally.
love the thing of like, is that a van or a van? And she's like, you're an idiot. No, that is a van.
It's a van. Yeah.
It's great lines.
Yeah. But obviously she's there to give him his divorce papers on Valentine's
On
Day.
Valentine's Day.
And I wrote in my notes that hopefully no divorce on Christmas Day.
Yeah, hopefully not.
They don't seem to be leading towards that in the
No.
show, but I hope
That's
they're
not an adaptation. Man.
I've seen theories, if anything, that his wife is a
Is a shield
is
agent.
a superhero of something, or like
She's totally
her
S.H.I.E.L.D.
own Mockingbird or something.
Yeah, definitely.
She's definitely a shield agent.
But yeah, and then the next part that I really loved, it is Hawkeye.
Yeah.
Kate's Hawkeye Vespa kind of getup is just wonderful.
Great.
Just all her outfits and stuff in this comic run.
Yeah.
One of these in the future too. The
Yeah,
car
totally.
and
And the bike.
Yeah,
I
the
think
moped.
I think they are carrying it decently well in the show actually so
She
far.
wears so much
She
purple.
just wears a lot of color and a lot of purple
Yeah,
and just
great.
like wears ridiculous things for not a lot of reason.
Yeah.
And yeah, this is great.
Yeah.
And then she rocks up and it owns the bros with
Yeah.
her helmet and
With her
stuff
helmet.
and got a little target.
Yeah.
It's so good. It's so
Very good. I also love the bros are always in a van.
Yeah.
So
They're always in a van.
The show is doing that as
Yeah.
well. It's like whenever they turn up, it's just a van.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
And it's like, what is it, needs a bro or
yeah,
something?
yeah. It's on the side.
Yeah,
Yep.
totally. And then we have Jessica, the friend girl, gives some really good slaps, some good slap panels.
solid.
Her outfit is her outfit. It's
Yeah.
red and yellow.
Yeah,
That's
totally.
Spider-Woman.
Yeah, totally is.
Yeah.
Very cool.
And then Jessica is honestly speaking the truth in a
Yeah.
lot of this conversation she's having
Yeah.
with Clint.
Yeah.
Like, they don't set up that this is the case in the earlier issue where he sleeps with Penny and then they have all that thing.
Yep.
And then having this issue later coming in and being like,
all these people.
wow, yeah, you're not even fully divorced yet.
Yeah.
You're in a relationship, kind of,
Yeah.
although you're not sure.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just like, wow, you are
He's a mess.
kind of an asshole.
Yeah.
And then
He's a messy man.
Yeah.
Messy man.
And just absolutely owns him by saying that he'll only let you down. It's his superpower, which is brutal. And then
That's what he did to Black Widow, and then she died.
yeah, totally. Wow, you went there.
That's true.
Jeez.
My heart. And then the last bit that I will say is Kate at the end says, well, I don't hang out with him. He hangs out with me.
Yeah.
And that is a line that I 100% read in Haley Steinfeld's voice.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
would feel like she would say.
Absolutely. There is
Totally.
so
Yeah.
much. There's so much dialogue I've seen people popping up online from those first 6 issues and the episodes we've watched that are just straight
Yeah.
from it. It's so cool.
Yeah.
Like the line from him that's like she's 9 years old and something or other that he says when he's on the little ridey thing is like straight from issue 3. So it's like, it's very cool.
That's really cool. And
sure.
it's just like Marvel nails their casting a lot of the time, but like
Haley is another level.
it's another level of like, I've said it multiple times, Haley is just Kate Bishop as a person.
Yeah.
So I think it's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
As soon as they announced that, it's like, Yep.
Yep.
Good.
Cool.
This
Down
is
to the
gonna
fact
be
that Haley
freaking
Steinfeld
awesome.
is rich but also cool.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah,
she
yeah.
is such an expensive human.
Yeah.
Like everything about you seems very rich. And I also want to hang out with you, which is
Yeah.
very rare in rich people.
Her, in interviews and stuff, she just seems very like chill and down to earth.
Yeah.
But her Instagram is just modeling.
Yeah, it's
like
like-
it's just
You're too cool for
You're
anyone.
wearing the fanciest
Yeah.
freaking clothes all the time.
Yeah, she's Kate.
Yeah.
She's Kate.
She is Kate.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But yeah, that's issue 9.
Yeah.
And then we move on to issue 10, which is art is done by Francisco Francavilla. One of 2 issues he does, including the cover. But we're not focusing on that cover. We're focusing on a variant cover. Another weird one. So last time we had 50 years of Spider-Man, I think.
right, yeah.
It might have been more, might have been 60 or something.
Yep.
And it was all Spider-Man and all his villains. And this time we have Many Armors of Iron Man by Paulo Rivera.
With a big Hawkeye logo on.
Very random.
It's very random. Yeah, just very odd.
And also, when you first opened it, because I could only see the legs, I thought he was standing in a lake. And like they were peers.
Yeah.
And he was just a big Iron
sure.
Man. It was like, what's going on?
Yeah.
Oh, he's in a workshop.
like Giant Man, Iron Man
Yeah.
Yeah.
on Hawkeye.
Also, that's a very specific hand that he's taken off. Like,
Yeah.
it holds the thing. It retains the shape.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
It's very
It's still holding the soldering iron.
Yeah.
it's very odd, man.
Weird.
I wasn't expecting to have to see Iron Man anymore in these comics, but I did, and it's sad.
We didn't have to, but you looked up variants. So
Yeah.
it's your
I
own
didn't
fault.
look up.
got a big old book.
It just showed up when I was
Yeah.
reading through it.
Yeah.
But anyway, this is done by Francesco Francavilla, and the colors immediately are very much my vibe.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
look at this page and I was like,
I'm down.
cool,
Blues and
you got me in.
pinks.
Blues
Yeah.
and
So
pinks, you got me.
Yeah.
And I will say, out of all the guest artists, I would say Francesco stands out the most to me because it has enough of the David Ayer style in it. Like, it's clear it's the same run of comics,
Yep.
but it is the most. It is sets itself apart the most and is clear. Like, when he's doing this issue and then the later issue, the purpose of why it is him doing it is very
Totally.
clear.
And yeah, like you say,
Definitely.
it's close enough, but I feel like everyone else is trying to do it,
Yeah.
whereas he is not. He's just like,
Yeah.
I obviously need to keep continuity, but I'm going to do my
Yeah.
own thing. Whereas, yeah, the one that did the boat issue is just like, occasionally it just looks bad. It's
Yeah.
like you tried and failed, whereas this is never trying to be the
Yeah.
Ayer look.
Yeah, absolutely.
Josh?
Yeah, so this was a very
Got the
weird.
plot again.
That's all good.
Josh got it though.
I've got it, found it. This is a very weird, confusing issue. It took me probably like
The whole issue?
until maybe until maybe the last 2/3 or something to be like, right, okay, that's kind of I guess where we're at here.
Yeah.
But Kate met a guy at her dad's party. Turns out it is what's his name?
Kazi.
Kazi. So it's the guy that killed Grills.
Yep.
Yeah.
But we just see a bunch of his life, how rough his life was growing up. He had to like escape a city that was getting, it was being overtaken somehow. I didn't really pick up on how because I was so confused by this. Skim through so
Yeah.
much of
Yeah.
it, but seems like some sort of war or gang war or something is going on, and he escapes with his brother and has to try and survive. I assume his brother, maybe. Yeah, that's pretty much the whole issue,
Yeah,
really.
yeah.
And then
Yeah.
right at the end, Kate goes to Clint to try and help him out again, try and break him out of his slump. I think it's the same day.
Yep.
Because at the start when Jessica leaves, she comes in and he's like, "You need to go," and she's like, "Well, I have something tonight anyway,"
yeah.
which I think this is what the party is, and then goes back.
Yeah.
He's still having a pretty rough day and is short with her, as I mentioned before, and she's pretty short back.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that is this whole issue.
Yep.
It is confusing for most of it, and then it sort of clears up towards the end.
That's this whole 6 issues.
Yeah.
It's like the further in you're like, okay. And then the next issue you're like, Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Stuff. Yeah. It
Yeah.
diverts and then manages
And then
to
loops back
to
around.
loop it back. Yeah, itself back in. You're like, that's where that links
Yeah.
in, and then it
Which
goes
is
out
cool.
again.
It's just a hard read.
It is.
Those first 6 are such a soft, easy, like individual story.
Basically,
This is-
one idea.
Yeah.
Is it a hard read?
No, look how easy it is.
That's a very easy page to read.
is true.
No, I do. Obviously the page I'm pointing at, which will show up on the screen. It is. I do love that Kate gives this giant, huge monologue to him, and
Yeah.
he's just like, "I feel nothing."
Yeah,
just
after all that.
yeah, just a big edgelord kind of move there from Kazi. I don't know how I feel about Kazi.
Yeah.
I feel like, obviously, other than him killing Grills, which
Yeah.
could have been a bro, I feel like it could have
And-
just
yeah,
been
yeah,
a bro.
yeah.
I feel like he add like I like we get his backstory in this issue and stuff, but I feel like he feels unnecessary overall. He feels like he doesn't need to be in it, and he's
Yep.
just like,
Well, the whole time I read him, I'm like, I felt like that whatever this backstory explains should have been what Rami Malek had in the new Bond movie.
yeah,
Like he's got the same face thing and everything,
Yeah.
and so as soon as he turned up, I'm like, oh, this guy be an alright Bond villain.
Yeah.
But in the same way, Bond villains are completely useless in the plot. It's like anyone can be a Bond villain. It's always about the characters.
Yeah.
So it's like he's there, so there's a face to the bullet in a way that a bro, I guess, wouldn't be.
Yeah,
There's someone to
totally.
be a bit pissed off with.
Yeah.
totally,
But
totally.
apart from that, yeah, I totally get you. Totally get it.
Yeah. He does have a cool monologue here about how New York like hides all its bad history, which I did like.
Yep.
And then one of my favorite panels from this run is Kate at the bottom, in all no spaces or anything, no punctuation, just says, "It's my dad's party. I don't really know why I'm here. Hi, I'm Kate," which I love.
Yeah.
I love. I think there was a couple years ago. There was a Twitter thing going around where people were posting like some of their favorite panels or pages.
Yep.
This is the one I posted because
Good.
I don't remember a lot from this run of issues,
Yeah.
but this is one of my favorite bits of it.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of my I'm great at boats.
Yeah,
That's
That's your one.
That's
That's
fair.
your one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Tickled you in the right way.
I'll
yeah,
take
totally.
shoes.
It's good.
I mean, now that I think about it, shoe is better.
No. Well, we've each got one now. It's
Yeah,
all right.
no,
It's
totally.
We've got our
Totally.
panel.
Yeah, you keep away from shoes.
Yeah, leave my shoe alone. I haven't got it. I'm shoeless at the
I'll
moment.
take mine off.
Yeah.
Um,
No, that costs money.
no.
For them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And took a couple seconds
Yeah,
for that one to click in my head.
That's how I love to do it. I don't want everyone to laugh straight away. You got to laugh about 5 minutes later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stumped you.
Yeah.
There.
Grilled you.
I do like this line. I don't like their weird little relationship thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Again, unnecessary, feels a bit weird. But I do like that she gets the final word when he
Yep.
tries to like palm her off, and then she's like, "Nah,
No,
screw you."
I'm leaving.
Yeah, I'm leaving. And she does it again very soon in a following issue. But then the last bit of this that I like, it's the final 3 pages basically, and it's basically Kate and Clint trying to have a conversation. As Josh said, basically Clint is very short with her, but I love the way it's depicted. And this is the closest it gets to Aya, but again, it's
Yeah.
got its own kind of style. But it's basically just them talking through archery. There's not a lot of words said on these, but you can feel like the
aggression
tension
and- yeah,
between them, and like Kate splits an arrow at the end.
Yeah. Because, he is very off his game at this point because he's
Yeah.
so just depressed and cannot hit the target at all.
Yeah.
And so she tries to join him to sort of, make connection
Yep.
with him by being like, look, this is our thing.
Yeah.
And she just nails 2 bullseyes in a row and he just cannot. He's barely hitting the target.
Yeah.
And I think that probably pisses him off even more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's rough.
Yeah.
Again, it hits hard.
I do like Kate continually saying "futs up," though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And definitely better than flarking, in my opinion.
I was gonna say, I feel like that and flarking need to get into the MCU. It's weird that they say frickin' and stuff. It's
Yeah,
like,
totally.
We've got words.
Totally.
Use those words.
Totally.
Yeah.
But the other thing that's funny about it is just because, especially these issues are very dark. It's at the point where I'm like, I don't know if you need to censor it.
Yeah.
There
Doesn't
is,
she call him a bitch?
yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
There is some messed up stuff,
Yeah.
and just like, especially as we get into the next few issues, it's like these are mature comics,
100%.
more so than I remembered.
Yeah,
and I think
yeah.
it's because a lot of the first issues are very lighthearted, and then it gets into some some stuff.
Some stuff.
Yeah.
Some stuff. Speaking of stuff,
Get us some stuff, Josh.
issue 11.
Yeah, that's it. This is the one.
This is
This
the
is the
one.
one.
This is the iconic issue. This is
Yeah.
Pizza Dog, his issue
Holds up
by
to this
himself.
day.
It does. Honestly, there's not a whole lot
No, yeah.
to tell.
Yeah.
He just has this own little adventure where you get very little dialogue because it's just as much as a dog might understand of words.
Yeah.
So most of it is just scribble with random words in
word.
between, like
Yeah.
Hawkeye, Kate, pizza, just little things like that.
Yeah.
But you just try and follow. There's so many diagrams and things
Yeah.
happening. So some of it is a little hard to follow, and you're like, why is that even there?
Yeah.
But yeah, you see the dog. This seems to be the next few issues.
This is
dog
the one that
issue-
makes everything make sense.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
seeing chronologically everything that you need.
It's so ironic.
Yeah.
that this is the one that makes everything
Yeah.
make sense. And
Yeah.
that's why it's such a masterpiece.
It's amazing.
Yeah. Because this happens. You see this dog go on this little adventure where he seems to be the first dog to discover Grills
anyone.
has passed
There's
away.
not multiple dogs that discover grills.
Sorry?
You said the first dog.
Yeah, no, it's actually the second dog.
Yeah, he is technically the
Yeah.
second dog because there is
Yeah.
another dog that was there, didn't discover him. But,
Yeah. Yeah.
He's the first being
Yeah.
that discovers Grills, or at least gets led to
Yeah.
Grills by this other little puppy that was there at the time when Clint and him were having the conversation. And then he seems to go on his own little sleuthing mission, sniffing stuff out and tracking them down. And
Yeah.
it's a lot of it, but
Yeah.
there's so many random things that you're like,
What's that?
what is happening here? But then it comes back in the next few issues, like the next 3 issues or something, 2 issues is basically what happens here.
Yeah.
And you get the filled in dialogue, like exactly, somehow you remember the little tiny bits of dialogue and panels and stuff that you see in this issue.
Yeah.
And then you go back, you're like, oh, that's that
That
point
is-
in
Yeah.
issue 11. It's very, very cool.
Yeah,
It's
totally.
very well done.
Yeah.
I think to me it's like because this first page here is actually the conversation at the end of the last issue. Drastically different art
Yeah,
style,
yeah.
but they do a very good of the words they show you.
Yeah.
Just very much situate you, and you are in that conversation at the end of last issue.
Yep.
We get a first look at the iconography, which is the way the dog thinks, I guess, which is just
I love it.
Brilliant.
It's so clever because
Yeah.
when we get unnamed man that isn't Clint, it's a very clever way of being like, he actually is, related to Clint.
Yeah,
It's like,
totally.
I can smell Clint on this person.
yeah.
But it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dog is sad at the bottom here.
Yeah.
It's very sad.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't want to look at it.
Yeah.
And yeah, I similarly to you, it's like not only it's hard to describe the plot kind of, but it's also hard to go through the issue without like pointing it
Everything
all
out.
out.
Yeah.
Because
It's one you really need to look at.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you will see it right here.
yeah.
it is.
But they're like he's kind of going through the apartment building and he's got smells of every different person apartment you go past.
Yep.
I do like that Grills he doesn't have a smell for.
Yeah.
Which is obviously leading to the fact that is up the top.
Yeah.
But yeah, fantastic
clever.
page.
I love throughout it as well. The line work is left for
Yeah.
some sections as well.
Yeah, totally. We just have like stairs in the background as well to imply that the movement, it's just implied movement,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah,
fantastic because if you look at all these, they're the same panel, but because of the stairs in the background, it's implying journeying up and down the apartments. And then, he finds the dead body. And skipping forward a bit, the bits when the police come in and talk to Clint, the bits we do get, the choices, the words that they choose to actually highlight, very clever. It's like you are kind of piecing together enough of the conversation that you still understand what is going on. And also having the iconography there alongside is very cool. A little donut for the police,
Yeah, of course.
of course.
Yeah.
And then I do like at the end of this conversation with the police, the one bubble that he fully understands, the one bit of speech is good boy.
Good boy.
And then he's so happy.
Very cute. Yeah.
He's so happy. And then on the next page, he does a little salute.
Yeah.
He does a little salute. to Clint as Clint leaves.
I was looking at that and I'm like, is he saluting or is he
Mid-scratch.
scratching himself with his back leg?
Yeah.
Is it just like keep eye place? So it's like keep an eye on the place or whatever.
Yeah,
is
yeah.
Obviously what he's saying. But it's like, yeah, you get this thing, but it's like, is it a back leg just kind of being like, eh.
Yeah. A little scratch.
Could be either.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
liked it as a
I
little
like
doggy
salute.
salute.
Yeah, I saw it as a salute first. I'm like,
Yeah.
kind of doesn't make sense, but yeah,
Yeah, totally.
A little animated.
it's very
Yeah.
fun.
Lockjaw can transform people. There's
Yeah.
weird dogs in Marvel.
Yeah. And then the dog kind of goes and does the bits of investigating. A very detective dog.
Yep.
And then ends up in the grandma's apartment, which we do get a little teaser of in the page where we have all of the smells of all the different people. There's a grandma there.
Yeah.
And we end up in her apartment with the other dog that we meet in this issue.
Little puppy.
I do like grandma has an Uzi for a necklace, like a submachine gun for a necklace.
Yeah.
And it's like, wow, you are also a bro.
You're a bro.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. And she is serving them tea
Yeah.
Yeah.
to the bro and, well, one of the bros and...
Grandpa bro.
Is that Grandpa Bro?
No,
Or is that the other
Kazi.
guy? That's Kazi.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll never remember his name.
Kazi
Yes.
Kama something. It's Kazi.
I've only got Kazi. You've got more.
Yeah. And then in the TV show, which I pointed out to Will and Josh, I think as we were watching it, it's remarkable when they talk about that name.
Yeah.
Clint only refers to him
That's
as
right.
Kazi, and then if you go and watch it, when Kate types it into her mum's computer, she just gets the whole
full
name
name.
done,
Yeah.
and I'm like, where did that happen?
How did you learn those letters?
And that, the name is huge.
Yeah.
It's like a 30-letter name in total, first and last
she
name.
just smashes those
She
keys.
just does it, types it perfectly, and gets the information.
And
up.
again, I'm sure we'll talk about this whenever we talk about Hawkeye.
Mm-hmm.
Hilarious how poor the fake typing is.
So weird. It's the
awful.
worst I've ever seen.
I didn't watch episode 4 with you guys, but there is a bit that I genuinely went back and rewatched because
Yeah.
he types an exclamation mark at the point at the end of a sentence, but the screen never changes. Obviously, when you type an exclamation mark
you
on your
gotta
phone,
go-
you got to go into a different menu. It's just the same thing. And I'm like, you didn't even try?
Nah. We don't, like you said, we don't need to see it.
Yeah.
We don't need to
Don't
see
even
them
need-
typing.
yeah.
Just show them like from a different angle typing. Don't show the screen.
Yeah, you don't
It's
need to do
fine.
that.
And just show the message at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Anyway, it's hilarious how bad it is.
It's weird.
But back to Pizza Dog issue.
Yeah,
Um,
issue.
I love the way they ended up is not hearing the whole conversation of Kate leaving, and just like seeing it obviously through the dog's eye, and then the dog choosing to leave with Kate.
Because he gave her a love heart in his diagram.
Yeah,
Hawkeye was just a Hawkeye logo.
Yeah,
but she had his heart.
yeah, totally. And it's so impactful. It's like, and the other thing I like in a couple issues time in issue 13, we also don't hear the whole conversation. We don't get
The full,
this full conversation at all.
Yeah, it's only his side of it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
'Cause
yeah.
It's like over the phone almost, or
Yeah, we get it through in the issue 13. We get it through Barney
that's
sitting
right,
in the bathroom.
on the toilet. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that middle panel there is heavy.
It's
Yeah.
great. And the
And-
sketch
and I-
door.
Yeah, the sketch door in the middle to kind of show separation. Like
Yep.
there is, clearly
So
Yeah.
good.
a difference between them.
It
even
is.
though they are a meter apart.
No one draws like this, man.
so
It is a fantastic issue, and I think like even if you're like Joshy, for example, and you don't love the style, like you can't deny it. This issue is him at his best,
Yeah.
and as you said, there is nothing quite like this. There's no one that quite draws like this.
Yeah.
Yeah, just facial expressions, because in comics, that's always where it falls apart.
Yeah.
They always look weird. They never look like a person make it, but all of his expressions are legitimate.
Yeah. That
Yeah.
So
freaking
detailed.
the third last panel of
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
Just his face is so distorted
Expressive.
and confused.
Yeah.
It's like-
Nothing else is like that detailed,
No.
but then
Yeah.
they managed to do such a good job of capturing facial expressions and stuff.
Yeah.
and how smug she is. Like it's it's such a
Like, she
plain
knows.
face, but
Yeah.
the way she's looking back there,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and she's standing up quite straight.
Yeah.
The panel before,
Yeah.
She ain't.
she's slumped over.
Yeah.
But she's
Yeah.
like,
She knows the dog will come
Yeah.
with her.
Yeah. She's
Um,
subtlety.
confidence.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And then that's the end of the Pizza Dog issue. Please, by all means, if you read one issue of this comic series, go and, I mean, you won't be able to find
You
this
won't be able to
anyway.
buy this one issue, but
But read it digitally. It is fantastic. It's not even a lot of reading.
No.
It's just a lot
Barely.
of
Yeah.
like looking through imagery and stuff. It's so brilliant. We can't do it justice from describing it, but hopefully we did a decent job of deconstructing it.
Although I will say you will be able to find it because I was able to find it.
Yeah, you just got to spend money.
You just spend a fair bit of money.
Yeah.
You probably have to get it from America, but
Or buy
track it
the
down.
new omnibus, which I almost bought today because it's like $80 for all these issues. It's fucking
Yeah,
amazing.
it's really good.
It's so cheap.
Mine's waiting at the post office.
So
Got to pick
cool.
it up at some point.
and not just all these issues, but the whole series.
Yeah, like this whole run. 22 issues.
Not just the ones we're talking about.
Yeah.
Yep, it's fantastic.
So cheap.
So cheap.
So cheap for that. It's
Yeah.
nuts.
Yep.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I pre-ordered it being like, this will sell out. Seen a couple around, so you might be able to find it if you're interested.
It's good.
And you also, as I think I mentioned last issue, you can't find all the trades for this, especially this particular trade of all the issues we're going through
So
because it's got the pizza dog in it.
Yeah. Go for that, big boy.
So go for that.
It's fascinating that even the trades are selling out of the pizza dog issue.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's so interesting.
And I think we mentioned in the last episode as well, this issue specifically is Eisner Award winning, Harvey Award winning. It's won a lot of awards for good reason.
Very good.
But we have two more to get through. Two more issues. We have issue 12 next up, another Francesco Francavilla issue. And yeah, Josh, I'm not going to forget the plot this time because you've got it.
I've got it. Found it. I got it. So Clint's brother, as you know, he's around. He exists. We see him a little bit in this. Lucky actually does kind of save him from being beaten up by the bros, which we see more of in this issue. So he's basically a homeless man, seemingly around town. I don't know if he's always around town or if he's just here to find Clint. But we get flashbacks to how they grow up. His dad seems to be a drunk, abusive husband and father. And Clint is quite a fighter and, goes against his dad and ends up at one point just jumping across the table and attacking his dad. But seems like his dad kind of beats him down and wins that little scuffle. And so his brother teaches him proper fighting techniques, things like that. He also teaches him how to do the coin flick, which is very cool, as we've seen in issue 4. Clint teaches Kate how to do that, which is sick.
Do you mean episode 4?
Episode 4.
Yeah,
sorry,
no,
not issue
because
4.
also apparently it's in a previous issue. I think it's done in issue 1 of this comic, which I didn't notice.
I mentioned it because it happens a couple of times.
Yeah, awesome. But I completely didn't make that connection. Then so seeing it in this, I was like, it's the thing.
That's the thing. It's the second thing.
Yeah.
So it's very cool. But yeah, he teaches him how to fight. I feel like I actually know better how to fight now because it's like use your first 2 knuckles because they're the strongest ones. And yeah, it's super interesting. It's interesting how this whole series
teaches you how to fight.
How to draw a bow and arrow and
How to do sign language.
Breathe, and there's a bit of sign language.
How a dog thinks.
It's bizarre.
Dog thinks.
There's literal there's an anatomy panel in this of the dog's head. It's like an accurate representation of the cross section of a dog's head. It's
the one thing I will say before we go any further. Jade actually, again, was reading through everyone's comments. Can't include them all in the rundown, but I saw this one. Jade does not like the punching advice. Apparently, if you find yourself in a situation where the only situation is to throw a punch, tucking your thumb under your fingers is a great way to break your thumb, which is what Barney tells Clint to do. So apparently,
see, I took it as underneath that, not in between, because I know that you're not supposed to do that, but I took it as literally underneath the other fingers,
like that,
not in between.
I mean, to be the way they phrase it is probably not. They
probably not great.
They probably should have had a
visual.
A visual. But yeah. So
you can see there. He's got it over the. It's on the outside there.
That could be inside.
That could be inside.
I don't know. It's all in shadow.
The top one seems correct. The top one is correct in general already, but it's a little bit vague down the bottom because it's so black and white. But I would have read it as underneath, but I did do a little bit of Taekwondo as a kid and was taught that. Was taught you will break your thumb if
it was on the
throw
inside.
A fist inside, so don't do that. So I just read it as the advice that I remember as a kid. But I can totally see how
it's a bit vague.
You might read it as underneath being put it underneath and then make a fist.
Just wanted to place it in there because Jade, thank you for the
a good
PSA.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Appreciate
Don't
it.
do that.
But Jade also said, don't throw punches IRL without proper training.
Just leave.
Or if you can help it.
Yeah.
And I think that's good advice for all our listeners who we all know like to throw an odd punch.
That's it.
Bingo, we had a fist fight at Supernova
Yeah.
at the start of the year.
I think it's just good advice that maybe just don't do it.
Yeah. Avoid it.
Maybe don't do it at all.
That's it.
But anyway, back to the story, Josh.
Yeah, man, I found it. So then we flash forward after this, and we see his brother take a few beatings from the bros in promise of money for whatever, and they never pay him. So he's after revenge, which he gets, and he steals their money.
Yep.
He's promised $5 the first time, and then a few $100 the second time. He ends up grabbing a bow and arrow as they try and drive away because he fights them a little bit after they beat him up. So clearly he also has those skills, probably taught Clint some of that stuff as well. And blows out one of their tires. They crash.
Yeah.
He takes the money and is like, you still owe me $5, even though he takes this wad of hundreds. Which is great.
And that's why Lucky was confused because he had a bow and arrow. He's like,
Yes.
wait a second, I smell I smell Clint, and there's an arrow.
Yeah.
But that's not. I'm confused.
Yeah, it's very cool. And he contacts and meets up with Clint, which comes up throughout some of these issues. You see like random conversations with someone and things like that. You hear him mention his brother, or Clint take phone calls with minimal dialogue and stuff.
I think there's
like,
a line that's
how is
actually
this
like he
linking
needs
together?
money or something.
Stuff like that, And it's like, there's so much that is unclear until it's not.
Until it's not,
But it happens issues later.
Yeah,
It's like,
it's a long run.
kind of frustrating. I can't imagine not reading this at once.
Yeah,
Like
not
having
being
to
able
wait
to-
weeks between issues if you read it while it was coming out, because I feel like you just forget what happened a few weeks ago, and then you'd come to this and you're like, what is happening now? I don't get it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I love that the first, like the introduction page that we get in all these issues is starts with Barney Barton, the brother of Hawkeye, and it's a little summary of what he's been through.
Yeah.
And we get that little thing of Clint might have stolen money from him. And it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then the other thing I wanted to note, when he first is confronting the bros, they punch him he gets punched for money.
Yep.
And I was like, well, Squid Game stole that
I
from
was
this,
gonna
clearly.
say it's Squid Game.
Yeah.
It's the money per thing.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, but I would like to say that I now know where Squid Game got it from.
They took it from this.
They took it from this.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well,
It also-
what year is this?
2012?
Yeah, he was writing the series for 8 years. At 100%, he could have watched this and taken it.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. And one of the other interesting things in this, because I never knew about Barney Barton, but it does say Dark Avengers. So apparently he does exist in these prior to this series,
Yeah.
and that he is in a version of the Avengers.
Yeah, he took Hawkeye's name for a bit. And
Cool.
became Dark Avenger Hawkeye
Yeah.
with all the other bad ones.
Bad versions.
There you go.
Which we're going towards, so, he could turn
Barney.
up. Barney might turn up. Big old dinosaur.
Flick a coin. Maybe he'll be in these episodes because there's not enough characters in
There's
the
not enough
Hawkeye
yet.
TV
Oh
show.
Nah,
Goodness.
chuck him in there.
Yeah. All the stuff Josh mentioned, the coin flick, the punch, we've been through that. The one thing I will say, Francesco does these really messed up pages fantastically. This one especially, which I saw again today and was like, well, I do remember reading this the first time.
Yeah.
It's messed up. They're like shards of glass with Clint and Barney's parents' faces on them. And then obviously a couple issues earlier, all Kazi's backstory is really dark and
pretty
stuff.
intense.
And
Do we know what else Francesco has done? Does he do horror?
Yeah, totally.
Because
I almost wonder, because that almost looks like there's a Star Wars Tales from Darth Vader's Castle that came out recently that has that kind of style. But let's find out about Francesco.
known for his creator-owned series The Black Beetle and pulp-inspired comic covers.
Zorro.
Yeah, he's done Zorro, Fear Agent. That sounds scary.
Dracula meets the Wolfman. That would work.
yeah.
That's in there.
Scalped, something called Scalped. So yeah, maybe.
That's a little intense.
Only one issue though.
He's done some detective comics called Skeleton Cases and The Faces in the Glass, so that those sound about
Well,
right.
there was literally faces in the glass.
That's it. That's
That's
very
dead
true.
parents.
Yeah.
Bit of Black Panther.
Yeah.
There's not too much
Captain America.
jumping
Darkness.
out to be horror.
Swamp Thing.
We're definitely Afterlife with Archie.
Moon Knight, though.
Moon Knight.
Yep. Yeah, that checks out. That Moon Knight.
DC Holiday Special.
Hungry Ghosts.
I feel like I feel like we're jumping to potential conclusions.
Conclusions.
There's nothing.
We want it to work.
Yeah, there's nothing definitely standing
Near
out to
death.
be like this is horror. Absolutely, definitely horror. Comics.
Mars Attacks.
There you go.
Red She-Hulk.
That's it. You clicked away. But Doctor Who Prisoners of Time, that's where I'm saying it. If you look at the covers of all of those, like literally look up Doctor Who Prisoners of Time, like the whole run of that, or the actual, because he's only done the covers on those, but that is the color palette of that, that panel.
I'll bring these up for people who are watching, but
like this.
yeah,
It's
totally.
It's totally
Oh,
that.
I remember those.
And it
Yeah.
all filled up to make
All
the
of
TARDIS.
these.
It's like that's
Yeah.
Totally.
That's totally
And you
that.
bought all of those, didn't you?
I did.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
The Tom
Yeah.
Baker one. It's like that's straight out of this issue.
100%. Yeah, that makes sense.
He has a great style. As I mentioned in a previous issue, I think like arguably I almost even prefer his style to Aya if like we're talking just like base comics. Obviously Aya's style works very well for what this series is.
Yeah.
But this
It
Francesco
definitely has more color. In there.
Francesco Francavilla, very talented artist, and as we've seen in this last like page, it's,
Totally. That's sick.
it's quite beautiful,
Nice.
Yeah.
but also
Death.
death.
Yeah,
But yeah, that's issue 12. We only got one more.
Whoa!
Wow, we made it through 13 issues over the course of 2 months.
But we recorded it all in one day.
Yes,
Definitely.
same clothes.
We didn't
Same
just
clothes.
read these 7 issues. All of us read them today.
No.
Yeah.
Never.
Issue 13.
Yes.
Also done by David Ayer, so a nice way to wrap it out. Done by the main artist for the
Back.
series.
And so
Good.
is Josh.
It's good.
Just back
I'm
with
back.
plot.
I'm back.
Just
I found
back
it.
with the block.
So this is the issue where
those
Clint
words.
actually finds out about Grill's death. So it's been a few issues, which is interesting. Like you would think that by now all this time has passed, but
Yep.
the dog issue happens, and then all this extra stuff happens at the
In
same
the
time
same-
as the dog
yeah.
issue, which is kind of cool. But finds out about Grill's death, blames himself for it because he is very much the reason why any of these people are around this building at all. So he goes to the funeral. He goes and looks after his dad and breaks the news to Grills' dad. He does finally actually meet up with his brother. We see it here. And then we get the conversation as his brother is in the bathroom about Kate going to the West Coast. And we finally get the line because we see West Coast and Hawkeye in one of the blanked out conversations in the Pizza Dog issue. But it does say the West Coast needs a Hawkeye.
Yeah.
So that's where she's heading. West Coast
Yeah.
Avengers.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's basically
Yeah.
again all of this issue. There's not a whole lot that happens from issue to issue.
Because it's a lot of the same story.
yeah, pretty much.
But this is probably the most like filling in everything in between.
Yeah.
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 Definitely.
I do like at the start, Hawkeye gets a call from the Avengers, which explains why he's away when Grills
Grills is shot.
does his thing.
Yeah.
Does his thing.
Does his thing.
Death.
Ends his thing.
But I loved that when he gets his call, you see him running up the stairs in the classic like fashion.
Yeah.
And he goes into his closet. It's just a t-shirt.
Yeah.
He's just going into his
no
closet
outfit.
for his t-shirt and his arrows.
Yeah.
And then we have the black panels when he realizes that Grills is dead. Very, very good, very impactful. Just as impactful as like that terrifying page from the last issue,
Yeah.
but in a different way.
And it's so cool because you could see this as a TV intro.
Yeah.
Like you see the shot of his shock.
Yeah.
Shot of his shock. That's a
Shot of
terrible
his shock.
sentence to say. And then the first
hard cuts.
black frame of like Hawkeye comic book, whatever,
Yeah.
and then another shot of the police, and then by Matt Fraction. Like,
Yeah.
you
But
can
it
just
wouldn't have
imagine that
David
happening.
Ayer in
Wouldn't
it.
say David Ayer.
Yeah, that's right.
He doesn't exist.
Yeah.
But yes, it's very, very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
This whole issue is so heavy.
It's a heavy issue. I think I noted that like Aya nails the tone of this issue because I think a lot of the heavier issues at this point were done by Francesco or like a different artist, like the Hurricane one and stuff. So at this point, like up to this point, you're kind of like, oh, maybe he just isn't as good as that style.
Yeah.
But then he really does a fantastic job across this issue. It's like a depressing issue and does a really good job. I mean, there are problems with this selection of issues that we're talking through today, but overall they all do a really good job of like showing the descent of Clint. Because the early ones are a bit more fun and poppy, but then over the course of all of these issues, it very much comes downwards until we get that final page at the end of this, which is just Clint in the dark. Very depressing.
Totally.
But yeah, going back to earlier on, the issue is fantastic at filling in all those literal gaps. We have the conversation with the cops that we talked about. But from a different perspective this time, still, but you get the good boy at the end, so you definitely know it's the same one. And like they focus on the earlier issue of the coffee swapping hands. So that's another like direct like, oh, okay, it's the same
thing. I think strong is one of the few words that gets through in the
totally
as well.
And then there's a later conversation between Clint and Kate, which we now learn is them preparing for the funeral of Grills, but it's very much not clear in a previous issue.
Not at all.
Totally.
'Cause when that happens, I'm like, what is it?
What's this
like,
convo?
what is happening here?
Also,
nice.
This taught me about what those things in the collars are. They're called collar stays. It makes sense. But I didn't realize they were called collar stays.
Just these issues just teach you so much about life.
Teach me so much. Well, that's good. That's because they're grounded.
It's
they're grounded in New York. And then and then obviously the conversation at the end with Clint and Kate, which we get through Barney's perspective, is just sitting on the dunny. Dropping a big one.
Dropping a big one. It's interesting how much this apartment, we leave it very quickly, but it looks like Kate's in the show. Like the metal staircases and everything.
For sure.
Very purple.
Very purple
apartment.
Very purple.
Even a purple towel. Hanging on the door. It's cool. Kind of want a purple towel now. Let's go.
Purple towels are nice.
To wash it first, though. Otherwise, you'll just go like purple dye.
It's true.
Nuts.
Absolutely. And then we go back to Clint talking to Grills' dad. It's like a nice callback, I think.
It is. Grills' dad is now grilling stuff for the rest of the name. It's just like Grills did.
But
really every issue.
Before we see him grilling, he goes back to Rockaway Beach. There's a good callback. There's a joke about Rockaway Beach that I didn't entirely read, but then they have protesters there, which I think is a callback to that, which I did like. But then, Hawkeye kind of like comforts Grills' dad there, which is nice.
Silhouetted hug.
Yeah, totally.
There's no words in that either. He's like, I didn't want him to find out over the phone. And then the next one is just them on the beach and then them like hugging and his dad is clearly in distress. But
absolutely. But it's so nice that he's doing the grilling. And even though he's not doing that great of a job, but the lady we meet in previous issue, who I can't remember, is like, no, that's okay. They look perfect.
I will say, hopefully they deep clean that place. Because I don't know how much time has passed, but like his son's brains were blown out in the exact spot he's standing.
That's true.
So hopefully it's been a nice clean, because blood doesn't come out of even like stone. I assume it's a stone rooftop. Like maybe it's been repaved. Otherwise it's just going to be blood where he's dripping the blood from those steaks.
That's true. Those are not steaks, William. Those are sausages.
Oh, they are. I can't see anything but the bottom panel, so I couldn't tell.
Totally.
Long steaks.
And then the end.
The end.
We did it.
I'm so intrigued to know how we end the show. Like what the end of the show may be Kate leaving. Like the show will end early. It'll end earlier into before this kind of resolution to everything.
I think it would be Kate leaving, but not on the terms.
Not on a bad note. Like she's going to Christmas. Like she's going to have Christmas dinner with Clint. She's going home.
But the final issue, the end of the final
show
episode. Because it's 3 days out from literal Christmas. It has to be.
Just nice.
He has to make it home for Christmas.
Please.
Sure.
We'll find out in
2 weeks.
2 weeks. Less than 1.5.
2 weeks.
On Christmas,
And
it's
depending
like
on
Eve.
when this comes out,
You might already know.
yeah, we might already know.
Yeah.
This could be dated.
Yeah.
It comes out on Christmas Eve.
Yes.
Eve. That's it.
My favorite date.
Eve. Favorite Bond girl.
Yes.
Yeah.
But that's 6 to 13, 7 to 13.
7 to
That's
13.
it.
Of Hawkeye 2012
Yeah.
by
Matt Fraction.
and
Only.
David.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, sorry, Matt Fraction only.
David Andrews.
And
They
Francesco
are
Francavilla and whoever,
Francesco,
Annie Wu and
Kazi.
Steve Lieber and Kazi and Jesse Ham and
Yeah.
Kit Harington.
Yep.
Um,
All of them are in there.
we have some viewer notes. There's a lot of them though, especially from
Yeah.
Joshy. So let
go.
me.
It's one of those Dion. Who's
Yeah.
Dion?
Yeah, we
You
have
know
some.
Dion.
new-
Art by Dion. He's an amazing artist.
Ah.
Yeah.
We
Cool.
have some. We have an extra person. Yeah,
Very good.
Dion did some notes for this
That's great.
as well. So again, more and more people, which is good, but it also means
cool.
we have more to read
More and
out
more
at
notes.
this
Yeah.
point. But yeah, Dolphin Pants. This is for the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
So we're wrapping up the whole 11 issues. So again, if you haven't watched the previous 6, this probably was a bit weird. But go and read them.
Yeah.
Watch them.
It's
Read
part
them now.
2, mate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Part 2. But yeah, Dolphin Pants says, I was very excited to read this after all 3 of you have been hyping this up for years in the Hawkeye trailer, which is true. We have been. First off, freaking fantastic cover art on every single issue, but a particular shout out to issue 3, 6, 8, and 11.
Hell yeah.
There we go.
Hopefully I can put them where my hands
That's
were.
why those hands were up.
Yeah. And he says, I fell in love with Kate. Really hope Steinfeld can capture the essence of Kate. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pizza Dog is also a freaking delight. I am learning between Lucky and Sparky. I like when my Marvel characters have dogs. Yeah. Totally.
You'll love Miss Marvel if they do that. So,
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely. I read the issues on Marvel Unlimited and was told by Joshy that the release isn't chronological, and I understand that's comics. It just annoyed me when later in the run it started jumping between Clint and Kate. Yeah, I think that's going into what we talked about.
Yeah. Gets a bit weird.
I really didn't expect Kingpin, but I know it's Marvel's a character's cameo all the time. That was a nice surprise. Maybe we can get a D'Onofrio cameo in the show. So,
knows?
fun fact, all these notes are from ages
'cause they
ago.
read
Yeah.
them ages ago, yeah.
They read them this
Lucas was on the
October,
ball.
I think,
Yep.
before we even started doing the first one for this.
Yeah.
So yeah, you were on the ball for a lot of this.
Probably.
Now, issue 3 is iconic and my favorite. Between the car chase and the naked Clint dive, it's Chef's
Yes.
Kiss.
Yep.
Totally. I like.
Chase. Freaking
Chase.
the best part of the series.
Yeah,
it's so
yeah, totally. We may be doing another Arrow ranking very soon. I have suggested it. That's
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
I like Madame Mask as a villain in this, and I know she has a long history, but this was the first time. This was my first time meeting her, and I want to see more of her. Unsure if they'll use her in the show or just use Val and
get-
Yelena.
We might get there.
Still unsure.
We might get there.
Yeah, maybe. Issue 8's fake love comic covers really gave my brain the good tingles. Oh,
yeah.
Yep. Shout out to Annie Wu. I've lost my point. Clint's ex-wife playing a decent role in the later issues just made me sad at how underutilized Cardellini is. Again, this was beforehand. I feel like she's been
She's been good in
utilized
this.
pretty well.
For COVID times.
Yeah. Now, issue 3 may be my favorite, but issue 11 is near perfect. Issue 11 is my favorite.
Oh yeah.
I don't think you can get any better than that, even though Car Chase is very good.
Charge is very good.
And my biggest gripe is not with the comic, it's with you guys deciding to finish on issue 13. Like, I get your reasoning, but it was such a downer. Almost everyone said this.
Yes,
They hated
yeah.
that we stopped here.
Yeah, and I feel like someone, not Jade, the other one, who just kept reading. He didn't
totally,
stop. He read
totally.
the whole series.
Yeah.
Totally. And we picked, it's funny, I think we actually picked this just like I was scrolling through it at the end and was like, oh, issue 13, it seems like
looks
where the
like
story ends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't actually a lot of thought put into it.
No.
Yeah, totally. Because it
feels
seemed
right.
like the rest of it was Kate.
Yeah. Yeah,
Like,
no,
from
totally.
what you what you said, you were like, I think the rest of it is mostly just Kate's story.
Yeah.
So this is where Hawkeye, like our Hawkeye,
Yeah,
Clint,
Clint.
this is where he sort of cuts off a little bit.
Yeah, but
Um,
it's
an
a
end.
good ending.
That's an
I
end.
think this is. I think I chose phenomenally.
You did.
Yeah.
I put a
With
lot of
full
effort
foresight, you
Yeah.
absolutely knew.
And if this will, like, the point of this isn't to, this is all you need to read. Like, a lot of this could just, inspire you to read more. And that's hopefully the idea, is to find out more about all these stories and stuff.
Totally.
Because clearly there is a entire run for nearly everything that we read. Like,
Yeah,
there's,
absolutely.
we only read half of the Loki run
Yep.
and like Black Widow runs and stuff like
Yep.
that.
We
Like,
read the whole Vote Loki run.
Vote Loki and Falcon Winter
Like, yep.
Soldier.
There you go.
Very short ones. But
but yeah, like
Yeah.
most of it, there's so much more to it, and clearly the writers and artists had a lot more to tell, but because of limited time that we have, both in being able to read it and how long and or short
Yep.
podcasts should be,
Yeah.
we can't review like we do.
yeah, and there's also a series too,
entire
so we'll just read the
things.
rest then.
Well, no, and that's the
It's just gonna be it.
actually I think a
Yeah.
thing I've been thinking about, which I love that we have this show now because we can actually come back to some of these runs
When it's relevant again, so.
and kind of do a little bit of a revisit, which I think is fun.
Yep.
So hopefully at some point there'll be a good reason to. I would look through next year, maybe not.
maybe not
but
next year. It's a bit busy.
2023.
Yeah.
My goodness, the years are getting on.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Same.
30 years old.
I did it. I did it.
I did it.
What a shame.
Definitely was also 30.
What a shame.
Definitely was also 30 last episode. 'cause
Yeah.
this is the
It's all
same
the same
day.
day.
It's the same day.
Same day.
Yeah, definitely.
There's no clocks.
I was wondering if you had the
The Zelda, it's not on. It's all
no,
good.
if you had the woo.
Oh yeah, he's got it somewhere.
Somewhere around
There it is. Blow it. There we go.
We did it. Yeah.
Definitely
There we go. 30 the whole time.
timed
Whole
superbly.
time.
Ben knows how to motion track things on. It's going to
Yeah.
be the whole
Yeah.
the whole podcast.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Audio format.
Or I'll learn. No.
No. No.
Overall, I had this from Dolphin Pants. I'm so glad I've finally read this. I understand why you love Hawkeye, and goddamn, am I excited to explore more Kate Bishop.
Yeah.
This comic gets a bro out of bro.
Bro out of bro.
Good rating.
Good. Good
Pretty
ending.
good.
But yeah, no, definitely there's more Kate Bishop to read. I
Yep.
just bought Hawkeye Kate Bishop issue 1.
So did I,
new
today.
series.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I bought
mine.
it ages ago, but it's not here because it's in Sydney. But I bought it.
Yeah, I bought mine the other day, so I'm excited to give that a read.
Yeah.
And yeah, Jade has some short notes.
Thank you, Jade.
Thank you, Jade.
Appreciate the short notes.
Says this series hasn't become a favorite, alas, but it was interesting to read, and I'm super keen to see what will make it into the Disney Plus series. Quite a decent amount.
Yeah.
I missed it / forgot the explanation for why we were covering issues 1 to 13 with the Hawkeye comics. Why did we go to issue 13 specifically? Given that last panel where Clint looks at the city feeling alone, I suspect the answer is it just felt like a good spot in Clint's art to pause.
Yeah.
Definitely the reason.
That's it.
Yes.
We knew.
100%.
Planned.
You got it.
I remembered every issue of these comics. Let's do the other shorter one first.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that's Joshy.
Dude.
We will cut out some of that. I just have to work that out.
Cool.
But Dion says, thank you, Dion, for writing in, by the way. Hope
Thanks,
you continue
Dion.
to in future.
Welcome to being in this episode.
Yes.
Or in any of the episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Comicast.
Welcome.
Welcome to the Comic Cast, issue 11. Oh, no, I started
That's
reading.
your
No,
notes.
no. No, that's his notes,
That's
but
his
it's
notes. Oh, they're
lower down.
different.
Dion says, I have never read any Marvel in the past. Wow.
Wow.
And
Welcome.
my Avengers knowledge is all from the MCU. Previous to this, I read through Marvel's disassembled stuff, which I think is just before House of M.
Yeah.
That's an interesting
That's a
thing to
odd
have been.
one to jump to.
Yeah. I read through Fraction's Hawkeye run a couple weeks before it was announced as a comic cast, so I won't go through issue to issue. Yeah,
Thank
cool.
you.
That's good. I mean, some people did. They're not in here
people did.
because, we went through it issue to issue.
Yeah.
I absolutely adored David Ayer's artwork. His loose, broad line work emphasizes Barton's mental and physical state as well as the grittiness of the city. 100%. I get really strong Will Eisner vibes. I haven't read any Will Eisner, but I'm going to assume that's Eisner
the Eisner
Award.
Award. Eisner guy.
Yeah.
I'm gonna check that out. Why are you doing this?
Particularly to his graphic novel, The Building, with his stories of individual residents of aforementioned building, as well as his heaving black and white inking. I assume that meant to say heavy.
Heavy, yeah.
But heavy black and white inking.
Heaving. Just spitting black and white ink everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. Is it Will Eisner? Yeah. Will Eisner.
Yep. They're named in honor of the pioneering writer and artist Will Eisner, who was a regular participant in the awards ceremony until his death in 2005.
There you go.
Rest in peace, Will Eisner.
Oh, it literally says, it looks like it's in Disney font as well, but the award literally says Will Eisner Comic Industry Awards.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Will Eisner, now you're saying it, I'm pretty sure he was one of the big leagues in Disney. You're on the Wikipedia page.
Yeah.
You can look at it.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure I remember him being part of like the Imagineering documentary on Disney. I remember hearing his name a whole bunch. But
There you go.
yeah. Now we know. Now we know what it took a whole year, but we're finally learning what an Eisner Award is.
Lore.
Yeah.
Comic cast lore.
Yeah. How are we looking, Josh?
Can't see anything in the first section that says anything about.
Yeah, weird.
Which we all know
Disney.
is all you should read on
But
Wikipedia.
it says his series The Spirit, which I have seen a bunch of before.
Yeah,
It
okay.
seems to be like within the same realms of
Like Watchmen and stuff, like-
yeah, like that, like Sin
Yeah.
City and
Yeah.
things like that. That's kind of where I think of it. Like whenever I'm seeing, graphic novels,
Yeah.
I see, Sin City, The Spirit, that
Yep.
sort of stuff. So
Yeah,
that's
cool.
cool.
Big
I'll keep looking for Disney stuff.
Yeah,
just in
okay.
case.
And then Dion has a few other notes. Issue 11 is spectacular. Like Dolphin Pants said, I really hope they incorporate it into the show. The issue had to be heavily influenced by Chris Ware. Again, another reference I don't understand, but I will
Look into
investigate
that,
afterwards. Francesco Francaville's, I think, artwork and coloring of issue number 10 and 12 are so beautiful and unsettling. It takes a lot of skill to balance such a limited color palette. Yep. I love myself a brooding, self-loathing protagonist who can't help but help people pizza dog, even though he's an asshole about it.
Yep.
All in all, it was really nice to get a better feel of Barden as a character, besides being the Avengers' younger brother that Mum said you had to bring along. Totally.
Fair.
I think, and again, show's doing a good job of it from a completely different
Totally.
entry point, which is good.
Yeah.
And the death of Grills was such a gut punch, which it was.
Yeah.
And the final note is bro.
Bro.
Nice. So I just found, I was just looking, there was no Disney, but in a lot of his comics and graphic novels, the way he wrote his name
Yeah, wow.
was
Yeah.
seemingly
It's the
just
Disney
very
font.
Disney
Yeah.
on like
Yeah,
nearly
it's got
everything.
the W from Walt and the I from
Yeah.
Disney.
yeah,
So
yeah.
How weird.
So yeah,
maybe I will
a bit random.
insert an editor's note.
Yeah.
Sure.
Done a bit more look into that. All right. So Joshy wrote a big amount because Joshy read the whole thing. And it is a very interesting read. It's on the Discord to go through the whole thing.
Yeah.
But I'm going to summarize it. Basically, because we knew before going into this as well, Joshy is right into a lot of comic casts. He does not like this run. He does not
Yep.
like David Ayer's style of art. And is more familiar with older depictions of Hawkeye.
Yep.
And he says, I went into this series irritated by the artwork. Finishing the series, my attitude softened somewhat. My bigger concerns lie not in the art or plot, but the characterization. And what he basically goes through is that he feels like Fraction's version of Hawkeye is very toxic for everyone he's around, including Kate.
Yep.
Borderline gaslighting her by erratically either overpraising or berating her often. Verbalizing not wanting to sleep with her, which we've been through. Oversharing his personal life.
Yeah.
And Clint treating women crappily is the recurring theme predating Fraction's run from Mockingbird in West Coast Avengers onwards, but while past mistakes are alluded to with past exes present, Fraction gutlessly skirts around addressing Clint's troublesome trend, which I kind of disagree with because I do feel like I don't think he addresses it perfectly, but
He's aware.
he's aware that it is troublesome
Yeah.
and all the women are unhappy with Clint.
They're very present.
Yeah,
it's
totally.
It's definitely a present issue.
Totally.
For sure. Yeah.
Basically, I think the Fraction kind of strips away the quips and
Yep.
charm a lot of from the 80s
right.
stuff.
Yep.
And just doesn't think the character is particularly likable in this run
No.
or anything. And obviously, having read beyond this, thinks that Kate leaving and going to LA was very, very
a good move.
Very good move.
Yeah.
Basically, overall, just thinks that this made him really dislike Clint, and I guess it's just because it's a completely different.
To what he
It's a
he
different
read, yeah.
version of the character,
Yeah.
which is very true.
And it's interesting from Josh's comments on the show. He seems to be really loving what the show has taken from this.
This is true.
Which is really
cool.
good. So at least whatever good he saw within here has been brought over to the MCU.
And that's kind of what we have been saying for most of this as well. Like Clint, he's trying to be a good guy, but he's very constantly a bad guy.
Yeah.
From issue to issue. So fair enough, but there is a lot of very great iconic moments through these,
Yep.
and the fact that those are the parts that they've brought into the show, it's
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
very good.
the thing is, I don't disagree with a lot of what you've written. It's mainly just that I think as we've been through a lot of that stuff, we agree is like weird
not great,
and maybe
yeah.
not as well addressed as it should have been. But I don't think it's as ruining
Yeah,
as perhaps.
it's not a problem.
Or at least from our perspectives. But
Yeah.
definitely, if you have previous history with the character,
Yep.
could be the case. So I'm not saying it is illegitimate. I'm just saying
Yep.
that's probably where we divert.
Yeah.
It does give a rating at the end. He says 1.25 unlabeled trick arrows in my quiver because I'm out of tape, and one stolen bullseye card trick to the throat.
Good.
So 2.25 total out of 5.
Oh,
So I
Not
don't
much, but that's a great.
it's worth
Yeah.
it. I'll let him
Amount of
rate it
rating.
that low.
That's-
Yeah,
That's
totally.
pretty damn well written.
Yeah.
I like
Totally.
it.
I was going to segue. That's right. I was going to segue into what are our ratings for this run, because we did that last time.
We did. Shoe out of shoe.
Nice.
I'm fine with boats.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, cool. I'm going to give it pizza out of a dog.
Nailed it.
That's his poo.
Perfect.
That is a dog's poo.
That is his poo.
Yeah, totally.
And here's Will's note. Michael Eisner was the man that worked for Disney that left in
That's the one.
2005,
Yeah.
the year he died. So I think they're the same person. That's what I'm going to say.
Of
That's
course.
how I'm going to go. And also, I think looking through it, it just looked like that's how he wrote. It was due to the same font and tools that he used.
Yeah.
It was a similar logo typeface.
Yeah, I had a bit of a read into that as well. Most of the time when you were going through Josh's stuff,
Thank
I was
you,
looking.
Quora, or whoever has the red with the white letters.
Yeah, I feel like I was probably on similar
same one.
pages as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was basically just they would have been doing this around the same time, so they would have had the same tools for art
Yep.
and drawing and stuff. So it was just the way they would have written these things.
Yep.
So
There you go.
makes sense. Yeah, man.
Yeah. So that's
it.
the issue.
And that's the year.
That's the year of comics.
We've done it.
Good job.
Go on, Josh. There we go.
We've done
Happy
it.
new
Comics.
comics next year.
Yeah,
Probably
absolutely.
not new.
No, that's yeah.
No.
It's always old.
What's in the plan? Is there any new comics in there? Is it all?
I don't think there's any new ones.
Yeah. I don't need to know.
I feel like the newest comics we did this year were Shang-Chi.
Yeah, well, Shang-Chi was last year for sure.
Yeah. So
That
that's
and
the
Falcon
most
and Winter
recent.
Soldier were both last
Apparently
year.
no
Yeah, right, yeah,
newer
that's right.
ones planned. So yeah, no, we'll be going back to
And
some...
Suicide Squad. That was all 20. There were three
Oh,
2020
yeah.
comics.
Yeah, okay, cool.
I think hopefully I actually want to go back to some older
Yeah,
ones,
that'd
some
be
like
good.
80s and 90s
Joshy
ones.
would be happy to hear
Yes,
that.
Ooh,
definitely.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's the end of the year. Will and Josh are both going to Sydney.
Yeah.
So we're going to take a break for January because we've also done 12 of these and they're
Yep.
great to do. But
Yep.
we do have to organize it every month and stuff. So
Yep.
we're going to take a break for January. There's not a lot coming out anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll be back for February, but you'll
will.
find out what we're doing then
Early.
sometime on the Discord.
Yep.
And
We have some ideas. There's a lot happening
Yeah.
in the next few months, so we just have to choose one.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. But yeah, how can we join that Discord?
You can join it over on patreon.com/each to their own. Just a couple of bucks will get you in there. You can come hang out and yeah, be part of this.
Can.
Join in with Dion, who
Yeah.
recently also joined.
Yeah.
And Jade and Dolphin and Joshy. Really appreciate you guys jumping in.
Yep.
Please, other people, jump in. Come
Please.
read comics with us. Come
Yeah.
hang out. It'll be great.
It's
It'll be
very
great.
fun. It's very fun. But yeah, I can't wait to come back and do more of these next year. It'll be very fun.
Yeah.
Good.
Read some more comics.
Yes.
Hopefully read some lovely ones over your Christmas break. I've got quite a few.
I was going to say, is there one you can recommend that you've read this year that they should pick up?
I've read
I've read a lot. I know. I was like, just say one of the 1,000 you've
a
read.
series that I started recently called it's just called Defenders.
Yep.
It's Doctor Strange and a bunch of cosmic defenders.
Yeah, cool.
And it's very good.
Yes,
I think
I
there's
know
only
what year
been
it's from?
3 issues. It's this year, 2021.
Yeah, right, cool.
There's only been 3 issues of it so far, but
nice.
it's very good.
Yes, good.
I would recommend that one, but there's a lot. You can ask me on the Discord.
It's true.
But anyway, we got to wrap this up.
Yeah.
It's been lovely doing these. And we will be back in February.
We will.
Yes.
Until then, I've been Will.
I've been Josh.
I've been Shu.
Oh,
I stole your
you
thing.
stole my show.
Oh no.
Oh,
That's why they're missing.